And hello, everybody. This is Elisha Keating from WisdomSeekers.net. Please check us out. We're a great group of readers. And this is Chit Chat with Elizabeth.
And it has an
Our Aunt Beth, and she's trying really hard not to laugh because she thinks it's hilarious, my intro. So, anyhow, Aunt Beth. Elisha Keating from WisdomSeekers. Oops. Good. So behind.
This one.
So
Hi.
there's nobody there yet, so we can just chat.
This one.
Shut up there. I mean,
Awesome.
Because there's two people. Views. I can see the views. So what? We had quite a bit of interest in your talk on curses last week.
It's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
We only covered a very short intro to that topic. I mean, you're talking about something that spans the history of humankind and before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
this is
before humans?
Huh? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Maddie.
Hey, Maddie.
Sadie's on there too.
Hey, Sabi.
Hey, Sabi.
I can't see Sabi.
Yeah.
So tell me.
Yeah, no.
I can see it spanning humankind curses, but how does it go before? Unless it's with the angels and things and the souls.
Yes, it's, intelligent creation.
Yeah. Okay.
It would have had its own. Yeah.
So we're talking about UFOs and things like that, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, how did Lucifer get to hell? He was cast down. That wasn't a blessing by any means. So you're talking about forces of energy that existed before man. Well, we have to realize,
it's cast down before humankind.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize the timeline was such.
Yeah, we're limited by our lives and our lifespans and our time thinking. One of the things that got me started in spirituality was a quest for God. And my thought was, well, he had to exist before we did. And so I kept pushing further and further back in history, trying to find those evidences and existences of things that were before us. It got interesting there for a while. You can get lost in that really easy. A lot of my writing is based on some of those concepts, and
fallen angels.
Yeah, ancient history, So other forms of life.
Yeah, they're starting to revise the timeline of humanity. Actually,
yes, they are.
Yeah,
they have to, because we've always known, even though mainstream teaching and media is just now catching up, there's always been evidence in archaeology and in we call it the abnormal, the thing that doesn't fit in the paradigm. Like
running shoes, it's 250,000 years old.
Yeah. And the footsteps, a man's footsteps right by the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
There are, which I went to Texas on a trip to see one time, because you can read about things, but when you personally see a place, it brings home information that you don't get just by study. So I'm always advocating travel, and if you just go down the road to the park, travel.
Yeah. But somewhere around there in the south, I'm not quite sure which state it is. Hello, Perna. If there's a place where you can go climb up the mountain. It's high, extremely inaccessible, and they have a temple of the sun and temple of the moon at the other end. And
Yes.
that is something I would dearly love to see. Probably only see it on Google, but it's supposed to date back like 15, 20,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are places I would love to see Bear Mountain for sure. You know, I've always read about the spirituality of Bear Mountain, and I've had a deep desire in my heart to go there. I actually got to go to Bear Lake at one point. I'd like to go see the Ringing Stones. You know, I would like to see, I know everybody talks about Stonehenge, but I would like to see the Meriwether Stones. You know, there's places that I have on my bucket list. I got a huge bucket list, so I'll never get to see all of them.
Never know.
But what we do begin to realize once we step outside of ourselves is that there actually are forces that are older than man. And, you know, there are forces that we will be older than as history progresses. Nothing is meant to last forever. You know, hopefully we can evolve enough to make a lasting impression on the universe. That's my hope.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I was like, yeah, but if anybody has a question, because I don't want to like keep anybody from asking a question.
Anyone asking, where is it?
Bear
Where
Lake,
is that?
Bear Mountain.
Yeah, that's a good question, because as much as I want to go there, I have no idea. Not a single clue. I'm actually have read so much about it, but I couldn't even give you the exact location. Idaho, somewhere there. So
it's on your it's at least it's in your state's area.
Yeah, it's and I could find the location for y'all if y'all wanted to wait for me to dig through like 500 files. I'll be happy to do that, and I'll definitely look it up after the video. There's a lot of things that are in my head that I have general knowledge and wanting of, but to get the specifics, I have to get into my personal mounds of research and material.
U.S. Maddie. So have you know the author Andre Norton, right?
Yes.
She talks in her books about the Forerunners. And if you follow anything on the updated presence of aliens, there is actually Forerunner artifacts in the world, or not in our world, but all over the galaxy. And they have things that look just like stone, but they have immense information on them, and they bring in tremendous amount of, and I have no idea what they call it in the intergalactic stage, but in English, money.
Money, yeah.
Yeah.
Every society needs a developed system of trade, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but we're talking about Forerunners, but these ones, they have so much Forerunners that there's hardly any information on them.
Yeah. Well, when you start looking actually at history and not just what your history teacher teaches you, you know, history can be taught in one of two ways. It can be taught quite boringly, where you go in and you're given a bunch of dates and you got to remember what correlates with those dates, and you're given a test and you're like, blah, 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 yeah. Or it can be told as it's meant to be, as a story. And you will find that there are odds and ends that will capture your attention that lead to nowhere, because we just don't have that follow-up information. You know, we can guess. There's a lot of guessing. You know, even in well, take the Bible for instance. There are one-liners in those texts that make you go, "What? What are you talking about? Who was that person? Why did they do that?" Um, they allude to other things, like having to bring a specific animal behind them to keep this energy from following them. They would send this animal out for this energetic force, or this elemental who had taken an interest in the camp was following them. And there's only like a just brief description of that says, hey, this existed. Yeah. So, and we dealt with this as man, and we dealt with this as mankind or womankind, but in our modern minds, we say that was superstitious. That didn't really happen. And yet, as we move forward in science, we find possibilities that, yeah, things can happen. So it's this contradiction. It's a contradiction of thinking. You want to get along in today's world of science, of course, but do you want to discount ancient knowledge? Which is, I guess we're not talking about that, huh? Anyway, I was going to talk about the theme of the story I'm writing is that.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
You can talk about the theme, but don't give away anything.
Yeah. Well, the theme is along that lines that we have forgotten the old ways. We have forgotten that there are things older than us, and they're coming back in the story, and is having to deal with that because nobody has the knowledge anymore. Well, we lost it.
One of my teachers when I was young, Star Wars just came out. He was a channel, and he channeled, and I've heard this since then, that it's actually a story that happened many eons behind us, not in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's evidence all over the earth that we were way more technologically advanced than we are now.
Well, they're certainly finding out a lot of stuff around off of Cuba.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
working.
Edgar Cayce predicted that that's where they would find Atlantis. Way back in the day, and everybody hoo-hawed that.
Yeah.
But now we're finding, architectural wonders underneath the ocean.
I think this was all over the place, though. I don't think it was just a few islands. I think it was sort of like an empire.
Yes, it was. The actual central city was island of 7 rings, we're told. 7 outer defenses. It's an interesting story, especially since I live so close to the Caribbean. We get, the odd bit of information now and then. I actually passed through the Bermuda Triangle, I'm proud to say, one time and came back. I was disappointed in that, actually. I was kind of hoping for an adventure there. I know that sounds crazy because nobody really wants to disappear off the face of the earth, but I mean, come on.
It'd be fun.
Just one time. I want the abnormal, but nah, we just cruised right through.
Come back 70 years later, and there's nobody on them.
Yeah. That would be so cool, though. Just terrifying.
Yeah.
As a reminder, what's our topic today?
Oh, questions and answers. We're just chatting until you people start asking questions. And good evening, Jamie.
Jamie Sanders Martin says good evening. Bunch of people. Nikki Reynolds says hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
So we're just chatting until you ask questions, and it's open season.
Yeah. Open topic. You pick the topic. You ask the question. What's on your heart's mind? And what do you want to know about?
It can be what we're talking about, or probably something a little more.
Someone's love life.
Someone's love life?
I mean,
I can just pick anybody.
Life, but
Yeah, that's amazing. For nobody's asked about a love life in 24 hours.
Oh, love. Well, I love love. Love is so complicated. And it's so easy.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Jamie Sanders Martin asks comments. My coworker just took a cruise and went through the Bermuda Triangle and had a lot of spiritual experiences.
Sweet. Maybe I should.
Awesome. Awesome. And they made it back. That's what's important.
Yeah.
It's always important that you make it back.
Spiritual experience is really exciting.
Yeah, I unfortunately went through the Bermuda Triangle, and we weren't there for pleasure. I think we were shrimping that day. We were running shrimp boats, and or fishing. I can't remember which. So it was just a very uneventful, non-spiritual, back-breaking day for me. I still wanted it though. I still wanted it. I wanted the mysterious. I was so excited that we were there, and it was just a bummer.
So,
we got fish though. We got to eat.
That's great. Fish is always good. Well, thing. There's a question.
I'm
not sure.
It's swelling for no reason, and is my health okay? From Nikki Reynolds. Sorry, it didn't scroll up when it was posted.
Is that something you can? You're welcome. You're comfortable answering. Health.
Her feet are swelling for no reason.
She wants to know if her health is impaired.
Well, that's definitely something that if you can afford to, you need to schedule a yearly checkup on. You're talking about a buildup of fluid. Can be for any reasons. It can be for arthritis. It could be for toxins building up in the body. I'm always comfortable advising people to make a yearly appointment with their doctor. But I really, really get an impression here, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there's been a lifetime of overworking on the feet. And that could be a factor in what is happening now. Strongly suggest, on top of going to see your doctor, this does not replace seeing your doctor.
Definitely.
Because there are several things that can cause this. But on top of that, give yourself some extra love and care, because all that work standing up or almost, I mean, that's the feeling I'm getting. It's just like a lifetime of running.
Yeah. One thing you can do if that's the case is put your feet up on the wall for 20 minutes a day. According to my daughter Jen's yoga teacher, that will replace an hour of sleep a day.
Really?
Yeah.
One of our other readers, she messaged me privately to report this. Edema is commonly a red flag of heart disease. It busts the vein. Go see the doctor right away.
Yeah.
That's why we strongly advised that you make a yearly appointment with your doctor.
Or just go walking.
Yeah. Don't just take our advice for it. You go see a person that deals with things like this every day.
Is that telling you?
No. Nikki asked about the healthcare. The person who added possibility of heart disease is our friend Linda Johnson.
Oh yeah. Well, Linda's really, she really is a strong medical intuitive. So I'm trying to talk her into coming on our page actually as a medical intuitive.
And we have another question from Jamie Saunders Martin. She asks if she'll get pregnant soon.
It's all yours.
If you'll get pregnant soon. There's that. I won't define soon but it is definitely in the probabilities that you will conceive a child. Look for, especially around full moons. I think if you're in cycle, you want to go about a week before,
14 days.
yeah, to the full moon would be your optimal time for that. But yeah, there's a definite probability for you in the future on several pathways. On several pathways that you will conceive a child. So,
Did you want to talk about pathways?
well, we can. Yeah. When you look at,
Because somebody asked.
when you look,
Oh, sorry.
yes. Go ahead.
Somebody else asked a question saying, "Hello, do you see anything wonderful happening in my life?"
Who?
Kelly Crispin.
Yeah, I do. I think wonderful things are going to happen.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
Coming
Definitely.
Let us finish the one.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, definitely wonderful things are going to happen. I just don't know if you're going to recognize them as wonderful when they do. You definitely will after you get through them. So keep that in mind as you go through the next few months. So yeah, definitely going to be wonderful. It's just going to be you're probably not going to be at that moment thinking this is wonderful, but trust me, you're gonna love it. Okay.
Actually, I pick up pretty fun things.
Our next question, it comes from Christine Gordon, and she asks, "Is this June a good month for me to get married?"
Yeah. Yeah, June's actually for you, see any month but February would be a good month for you to get married. Just don't go February. I don't know why that is.
Cold and rainy.
Yeah. Yeah. So June would be beautiful. Not to push things, but June 20th is my birthday. Just saying. So
Also, do you have a date? What date you were planning on in June?
We'll wait for Christine to reply because, as usual, Facebook is lagging behind.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie Lawson asks, "As always, I would like to know if you can see anything coming up."
It's all yours.
Told us not to laugh at you.
It's all yours.
okay. Repeat that question. If I can see anything, I can see a lot of things. Repeat that question.
Is there anything coming up for Maddie in the future? Near future?
No, just coming up.
That is so open-ended.
No date.
God, I love people who do that. Just coming up.
21st.
I mean, I see a lot of things coming up, but it's like oddly enough around, and this is going to sound so weird, around plants. There's a lot around plants coming up. This makes no sense, but I see just a lot of green around you. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't.
Oh, it has a lot to do with Maddie. That's you're quite on.
Oh, okay. So well, yeah, that's coming up. That plant green thing.
You're going to be healthy.
I hope that. I see some minor issues, but nothing major in health. Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's going to be really outstanding. It's a good thing. It's just such a perplexing vision to get that for that question.
So Maddie, maybe make your fence a little higher.
Amy Saunders Martin, she adds to her previous question of pregnancy with a comment of going through fertility treatments right now.
There's things with fertility treatments that can open the door to twins, you know? Yeah, I don't know if any of that's in the genetic past of the parents, but she definitely has more than one pathway to conceiving. So she should not give up hope. There's more than one way to get to that goal she wants. So you keep it up because there is success in several pathways of your life for that. Don't come back and yell at me when those kids turn into teenagers, though.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
So, you haven't.
Yeah.
Well, not having our own teenagers, but we've been teenagers.
I said.
Yeah. It's just going to have some... teenagers are interesting for her. That's going to be a fun time. Good luck. Mm-hmm. Have fun. Remember you wanted this. So,
lots of photos. So,
it gets better.
The 21st or equinox would actually be okay.
She asks, is that a good thing for weddings? If you're going to read the questions, I don't really need to be around here.
Well, no, but that she wasn't asking Elizabeth.
No, she was just asking in general.
Okay, let's go on. Is there any more questions on? Okay. Any more questions?
No.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the different pathways that people.
Okay, well, we know
there's different pathways. Yeah. This is something I talk about all the time in readings.
Yeah.
But not everybody understands that.
I mean, every science fiction deals with that timeline conflicts where A leads to B leads to C, but if you choose to go B and then you go to Z and F1, every choice we make determines the future. So when I'm asked a question about the future, everybody thinks it's a clear cut, that I'm going to see the specific future. I can only see the most probable futures because you have a choice. You are a co-creator in your life. Yes, you were created by whatever you call the concept of creation. You were created, and there are purposes in that creation. But you definitely have a choice on how you get there, or if you get there. So when I'm asked a question about the future, I open up my mind to follow all those choices from the point the person is asking to see the best probable outcome, the most likely probable outcome at this point in time. Now, the person is conscious, they're sentient, they have a deciding factor in their life, and they can change their future. No future is set. Only the one we agree upon at this time by the choices we make. That's in my theme on my page. You will see that the future is decided by the choices you make today. If you have a deciding control over a portion, not all. A lot of people mistake that. You don't have a control over all of your fate, but you do have control over a portion of your fate. And so when we talk about pathways, that's what we're looking at. It's almost like a spider web going out from this moment.
Yeah, and the clearer you are, the more choices you have.
Right. And the further out you get, the more those pathways change and diverge. So the prediction I can make today, and I think psychics get a lot of flack about this, but that didn't come true. Well, not my fault. You took a different way. I can't make you go down there. So, yeah. But yeah, no. And there's also futures that we don't want to encourage. And that's another big ethical question, I think, on the table. When you look at the future, there are futures we don't want to happen. And by announcing them, we could actually push the person into the situation. So say like I get on here, and I guess I use this example a lot with my students. I get on here and I see that you're going to be in a car wreck with a white car. And I tell you, you're going to be in a car wreck with a white car. Well, you get really nervous and you're driving really overly cautious and you change your route. And because you changed your route, you chose to change your route at that moment, you get in an accident with a white car. And you're all like, yeah, she was right on. But the reality is, if I had said nothing and you chose to go the same route that you would go every day and you weren't nervous, you never would have met that white car. So it becomes serious ethical thinking on our parts as to what we say and what we don't say about what we see. Because we don't want to, we have no right to take your choices by encouraging other choices, if that makes sense.
People
And so,
to give the name of somebody they're going to meet and they're going to marry, and I refuse to do that. Or I prefer not to give times to, like, general things. But probably when there's a purple flower growing, but I won't give a time and I won't give a name.
Jamie Saunders Martin comments, makes sense, free will. You mentioned twins. I have a twin.
So you're right on the nose.
You're going to have a lot of fun in life. Children are amazing. Mine is. I don't know about other people's kids. I really don't like other people's kids. I know that sounds horrible to say in public, but mine is awesome. So I see other people's kids and I want to run because they all like me and they all want to like talk to me and I don't know what to say. And you have this little humanoid, asking you questions. No adult would ask you those questions. Okay. They have no problem asking questions no adult would ever think of. Like, I mean, famous example. Do Vikings go to heaven? I assume so. Just that it's no problem. Just spit that out. As adults, we're so hesitant. We don't ask the big questions. We only ask the socially acceptable ones. The kids will make you run. They have no problem. And
sorry, continue.
I was going to say I have one example where this lady had recently had an accident and she was out and about for the first time. She had lost her leg, and right out of my son's mouth is, "Why'd you leave your leg at home?" No adult would ask that.
No.
So,
Kristen Gordon.
Okay. What's the difference between twin flames and soulmates? Is there a way to tell if you have met one of either?
Well, everybody.
That's an interesting question.
Basically, right?
Huh?
Everybody you meet's basically a soulmate on some level.
I'm not 100% sure that's true.
Yeah.
Anybody I think
interact with is there for a reason.
Yeah. Soulmates is a topic that I get a lot of frowny faces on whenever I broach it. Just because I mean, what if your soulmate's not the sex you desire? Or what if your soulmate is an animal or even a plant? I mean, if you go through the general idea of creation, that, we all have that spark of God in us, or goddess, whichever you choose. I don't care. I go goddess sometimes when I want to get thrown out of someplace. I've done it. But when people ask for that, they're often asking for love. They're often asking for that marriage partner, that they believe that they're going to go through life with and have sex with and spawn children and, create this life. But it's my theory, and I think I'm right, that sometimes your soulmate is not your sexual partner or lover.
I think
Your
you're
soulmate
right, and you're wrong.
Huh?
When it comes to things, you're more likely you're right that they are not your sexual partner, because
right.
having a twin flame is like having somebody who knows you so well, and depending on the level of spirituality they're at, you're going to have loggerheads.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're off as friends.
Yeah. I would suggest that people look for their soulmate outside of their sexual relations. Look for love outside of your soulmate. One in a billion, and I've actually seen it happen. 1 in a billion will actually have a soulmate that is their sexual partner. But it is so rare. So rare.
Well,
Not impossible.
I think twin flame. I've read so many different definitions of twin flames and soulmates. So I think your understanding of a twin flame and soulmate is different from mine.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't criticize. Yeah, you never criticize somebody's personal idea of that, because the only way you're going to find out if it's right is if, like, you die and get to ask that question, and who wants to do that, or you experience it, and you experience it on the level that you do. So, that's a hard question. That's a very spiritual question, very personal question. It's just, and when you talk about the difference between soulmate and twin flame, when you talk about a twin flame, I think it's almost like a split soul. You're looking for the other half of yourself. It's not a soulmate. It's not a soul that you are drawn to and connected with. It's actually a piece of yourself that when you reach a certain level, and this is a philosophical belief in a lot of religions, that when you reach such a high spiritual, magical platform, the soul breaks and goes in 2 different ways. And that would be your twin flame, from my understanding. That's how I understand it. There's other people who look at that differently. You can find people who advertise on my page that actually think differently about this philosophy. So your belief's really a choice there, and I wish you all the luck in the world with it, because it is one of those things we will be wrestling with till the end of time.
So what I understood with twin flames was that they split on creation, and they were trying to find each other.
Right, and they're trying to find each other, and because they're one. Yeah, they're one thing. They're one thing that became so big with knowledge and power that it could no longer just be contained into one thing, and it made 2 smaller things so that it could grow more.
Yeah. And also, usually, your twin flame is being when you're alive in the physical. Your twin flame is most of the time, not always, being one of your guides.
Yeah, that can happen. Okay. We look at, there's so many scenarios around this. Now, like, I believe that my soulmate wasn't even a human. I know that probably just made everybody go, oh, no. No, I believe I met my soulmate was a dog, and she lived for a very short time in my life. And the reason I felt that way is the type of grief that I had when she passed. I still cry about it. It was just like part of me just died and was crushed with her, and on a level that no one could understand. All the dog trainers would look at me because we had almost a psychic relationship. I didn't have to give her orders. I just had to think about what I wanted her to do, and she was there for me. And the same, I was there for her. I knew when she was hurting. I knew when she was sick. I could be miles away. I knew when she was getting in trouble. and some people would equate that with a familiar, but that's a little different. I really truly believe that this created thing was a soulmate, was my soul friend, um, on a level that can't be reached any other way. Wasn't human, so it's just complicated. Um, and I loved someone else and married someone else and had sex with someone else. Did not disqualify that. It was just not my soulmate. That was a good friend. That's how it works. I mean, as far as I see, as far as I've learned, um, and I'm open to discussion on that, as long as you don't come at me like telling me that I'm wrong and stupid and ignorant, and then we're gonna get in a fight. So,
my understanding of soulmates is that there are many levels of soulmate.
mm-hmm.
It could be that somebody comes in who rubs you the wrong way. It could be a soulmate for that period of time. It's not something that necessarily, it's somebody who's come in basically to work with you. And there, as I say, different levels. It could be a lifetime friend, or it could be a part-time, somebody who's just here for a season.
Yeah.
Could be. And yeah, and there are different levels of intensity within that factoring.
Mm-hmm.
And who want their soulmate and who want their twin flames, my advice is go out and make friends first.
Yeah, definitely. I'll give you an example that spoiled me for my entire life about twin flames. I think I actually saw it manifest at one point in a bookstore. And when I saw it, I was like, it ruined me for relationships the rest of my life. I am not lying to you. Because once you see that connection, you're like, oh, wow, that's magic. I want that. And you're not going to easily find it. So it was like kind of pissed me off at the same time. But I was sitting in the bookstore drinking coffee, and this man was sitting at the table next to me, and he just looked bummed out. I don't even know why I noticed him. And because I was trying to buy a book, and I had like a stack of 50, and so I could only afford one. So I'm trying to like weed out books. And just out of the corner of my eye, I noticed him. And then I looked up, and this girl walked in. She was a young girl. And when he looked up and saw her, time stopped. Time actually stopped. I witnessed everything around me stop. When his eyes connected with hers, I was frozen in this moment, and this light just exploded around the two of them. And he jumped up and he hugged her. And while he was hugging her, you could just see the energy just swirling around them. And then all of a sudden just clicked back into reality. And I was sorting through the books, and I looked and I thought, if I can't have that, I don't want anything. So it kind of ruined me for the rest of my life for relationships. So yeah, it does happen on occasion that a twin flame will find their twin flame. I do believe that. So I don't know if they made it or not. I never saw them again, but there you go. There's a story for you.
Christina Gordon, apologies, comments. Yeah, I've heard a lot of different views on it. Thank you both for your views. She continues to say, yes, I think with pets, we are drawn to them and they can be our soulmates. And yes, I agree with Elisha. I think we have multiple soulmates, but one twin flame.
I could be right.
Veronica Valdivia.
Just Pharaoh. Just say Pharaoh.
She says, I had many soulmates that rubbed me the wrong way then.
Yeah, probably.
Erin, ladies.
Hi, Erin.
Jamie Saunders Martin says, I'm loving this conversation. I'm cleaning my room while listening.
Do you want to come and help me? hate cleaning.
And I can't even help myself.
It's very, very erudite. That's my. I guess my mother's listening in. Hey, my mother's words.
Yeah. So
I have a zillion questions, but I know Vero has always got a question. So,
okay,
Vero,
I can. Can you say it again? I'm getting sketchy over here.
Vero, I said Vero's always got a question, so I just told her to ask a question. I mean, she was
Well,
always
yeah.
asking questions, right?
Yeah. I think, like, you talk about questions and answers. No, my life started with questions.
Yeah.
And everything was just question after question after question, and some of those questions were good and I got answers, and some got me thrown out of a lot of places because people don't like questions. So, you know,
Vero says she's speechless now that she's on the spot. I'm sorry, Veronica.
Don't believe her.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not. I'm very bad that way. Let me think if I can think of a question. Or have you got something you'd like to talk about?
oh, me, I always have questions. I want to know, like,
No, I want you to
right.
give answers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that too. I can give answers because I've asked so many questions. So, um, yeah, don't be afraid to ask. I mean, they did. I just did a Wednesday for Women on a study that said that women are less likely to ask questions in a format or in an arena than men are. We are hesitant to ask questions. It often takes like 15 or 20 minutes or more for us to gain the courage to ask a question in a group setting, because part of the reason is we're more subtly attuned, is the hypothesis. But like, y'all don't have to be afraid to ask me. I only bite on occasion, and my teeth are bad, so you're okay. You're good.
And I only bite occasionally too.
Again, lies.
That's only occasionally. So Addie says, she asked a question.
Yeah. Can you tell me why Bubba, I can read, is a changed kitty?
Bubba's her big red orange kitty that was cranky and all of a sudden isn't.
She continues quickly. Sabi has given some insight. Just want to see what you get.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bubba used to hate
You have to.
especially
Yeah,
when
yeah. You have to understand, Bubba he had a different life before he came to you. He didn't trust anything. It took him a long time to trust that he was safe enough to be the cat that he is now. He was always the cat that he is now, but he didn't feel secure. Now he's starting to feel secure. That trust is a great responsibility. When you gain that trust from an animal, it's very, very important that you don't betray it, because it's building up to a connection, a personal connection with your heart and that animal's heart. Bubba, just, you know what? He's gonna ignore me. That's fine, asshole. But, yeah, he's gonna ignore me. But yeah, there's just definitely, he has gained security, and with that security, he was able to relax that defensive, snapping posture.
he's lost weight too.
Yeah,
He's healthier.
yeah, I'm getting the impression that there's a particular spot that he likes to be. I think he addressed this with me one time before. Yeah, there's a particular spot he likes to be. He likes to be where he can see outside, and it's almost like just a very open window area. He likes to hang out. Um, he doesn't. He doesn't want to be needy. So don't expect that from him. There's maybe another animal that's needy, that he believes is needy, that gets more attention. He doesn't want that kind of relationship. He's becoming very secure in the relationship that he has. I hope that helps. Um,
She replies, he's brought me home 6 mice. So yeah, I think, and he adds, he's not needy at all. Charlie, which is Vero asks the question: how do we learn when we have learned the lessons of the 4 elements? Do we just know?
She changed it to 5 after.
But
oh dear, Vero, you're only on the second one. Elemental knowledge is about our life connection to everything, and you never finish learning that. You get a good start, and then you know you're on the right track. But then after that, it's the rest of your life.
Okay,
You're going to be learning that lesson.
Or 5 elements. What
Right.
she's talking about, because not everybody's your student.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Okay. So let's take a step back. There are 5 elements that we know in magic. It's very common knowledge. They even have like a band. I think it was a band or was it a song? Earth, fire, water, and wind.
Yeah.
But the 5th one is either, you can call it many things. In Greek, it was called aether. It's that connected creative force that's in the center of everything. So, we always start with the base element. God, this is so complicated and so easy at the same time. It's like I'm giving a class. Okay. So let's start with an easy one. Water is always easy to start with because we have a definite connection to water as far as a life force that we can visibly see. And it's reforming your awareness of that life connection to the very essence of everything around you is when we start working with the elements. And so, we'll start with water, and then we'll go to air, then we'll go to earth, and then the most complicated one, fire. And then lastly, we'll examine the concept of, there's many words for it in many histories and religions and mysticisms, but we talk about the created element in each of us, the soul, the spark of God, the divine universe. The Carl Sagan says it best, we have the elements of the stars in us, each of us, this creative force that ties it all together and binds it to our life. And it's through that some of the best earth magics are worked. Some of the best kitchen witches I know work from these elemental points. But it goes further than that as well, as if you're in religion and you are studying the mysticism of the universe and the very fabric of creation. It brings you in a direction to God. If you allow it, whatever path you choose, you get there. Trust me. My spiritual search started with a question of, stupidly, is God real? And I went out to find that answer, and I was an asshole about it. I'm just going to say, because it was like I'd been told what to believe all my life, but I never believed it because I didn't find it. Well, once I find it, then I believe it. And that path has been a very convoluted one for me, and it's gone in many directions. And one of the things that I did look at was the elemental connection to everything, spiritually speaking. It has a lot to do with awareness. Is there any questions on that very, boy, exacting and concise lecture that was very confusing and probably left y'all going, yeah, okay, what?
No questions on that, but Vero says, thank you, wanted more info. Sorry.
So, I hope that cleared that up.
Also, just to let the hosts know, we're at 55 minutes.
Yeah, I was looking at that. How are you doing? You ready?
Yeah.
Ready to talk?
Yeah.
Okay. So then
Yeah,
I'm just going to close it off then. And I wanted to say to Chris, I think it was Christine, that on Thursday at the same time, Erin is going to do a video, a live like this. It's called Connect with the Medium Erin. So that would be a perfect question to ask her, because actually Elizabeth does not go in that direction. She does dreams, but she does not talk with those who have passed over.
My house is warded against the dead, so there's no opening for that.
So that is a strictly Erin thing.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, I don't. I think we need it for Erin. We're priming the pump. And Erin, you can wave at everybody, okay? And thank you so much. This was awesome. I had a wonderful time. And thank you for helping me pin Elizabeth down to a time. That was kind of hard.
Thank y'all for your questions. It was really thought inspiring. I really appreciate all your questions. So, but I do have dogs, and they're all door. I can hear them bumping up against it, so I can't stay on much longer.
Yeah, we'll do this again, because there's never enough questions. There's never enough time to answer all the questions. And
no.
With that, I say thank you and namaste, and talk to you next time, whenever that may be.
Thursday.
Bye all. I'm gonna disconnect.
Okay,
love y'all all.
They're gone now.